Self-directed Saturday with Quest Trust Company. We are so excited to have you here. We have a very special guest with us today, Tom Olson and the 6 types of appreciation. But before we have our special guest, I have a few slides to share with you about Quest Trust Company, a little more about what we do, who we are. Let me just get this to the proper, there we go. All right, so thanks so much for joining us. So happy to have you with us. So who is Quest Trust Company? So before I go into the bullet points, I like to kind of point out that this is really who Quest is. This is who started Quest. I can't really see their faces, but this is Quincy and Nathan Long, one of our bigger events, pre-COVID. These are the 2 brothers that started Quest Trust Company. They were actually self-directed investors themselves. Obviously, this is before they started Quest. And they really built the company around the client experience, what they wanted, what they kind of experienced with other custodians. And so they built this company around what they really wanted as a client experience. So it was started by investors for investors. And I think that's one thing that makes Quest really different and really special. So we are the largest self-directed IRA custodian in Texas. We have over 20,000 clients around the country. So no matter where you're joining us from where you're joining us today, we can help you out. We're happy to say that we have 2.1, I think we're getting really close to that $2.2 billion in assets under administration. We are about 100, probably a little more now, employees. We're based out of Houston. We do have offices in Austin and Dallas. 34 certified, that number is increasing too. IRA services professionals. I'm an IRA specialist. We go through some pretty rigorous training for that, but we're highly trained individuals. Quest puts a lot into their employees, education and training. We actually really like reading IRS code and learning about this, so we're happy to help you. 400 million in undirected cash. In our financial meeting the other day, I think that number is closer to 430 million in undirected cash. That is opportunity. So that's really exciting there. Of course, our disclaimer, this webinar is for education purposes only. We do not give any tax, legal, structuring, investment, or any other advice. We give education to help you be a more educated and powerful investor. So please make sure you are checking with your CPAs, your attorneys, your investment advisors, etc., before engaging into any investments. Make sure you are doing your due diligence on the people and the investment themselves. Very, very, very important. All right. So what is a self-directed IRA? Why should you have one? Self-directed is honestly just a marketing term. It means you are in control. You get to tell us what you want to invest in. We serve as the custodian and to facilitate the transaction. You tell us, hey, this is what I want in my IRA, and we kind of help put it in the IRA, if you will. So some benefits, of course, diversification. Not that there's anything wrong with publicly held assets. We only hold private assets. So we have this open architecture platform that allows you to hold these things like real estate, promissory notes, what have you. So it's another little piece of the pie for your retirement portfolio. You can have some public assets, private assets, what have you. Tax savings. So we have accounts that are tax deferred, where you don't pay any taxes till retirement. We have accounts that you can actually get all your retirement funds tax-free. Make sure you check out our education center for those, or call your local IRA specialist. We'd be happy to help. Social investing. Not everybody can get like a traditional mortgage. So, seller financing is something that you can do, or act as the bank, loan funds to, people in your community to, fix and flip or redo their houses. And of course, invest in what you know best, realtors, oil and gas people, people that are, into lending. This is where you get to use your education and your skills to actually help yourself towards retirement. So great advantages there. These are our 7 types of accounts at Quest. I'd love to go through all of them right now, but it's just not the time. But call me up. I'm happy to help you out. But we do have some personal plans, some employer plans, and our specialty plans. Investment choices, I would say these are the 3 main classes of assets that our clients invest in, but oil and gas is out there. So kind of a short list, honestly, when I think about all the things that people do in their self-directed accounts. So just little note there. And our client portal, keep all of your self-directed accounts and assets in order through the client portal. You will never have to talk to a person if you don't want to. You can run your whole account out of the portal. Statements, FMV, submit your investments, get your statements, get your tax documents, communicate with us, what have you. We've really worked hard on that, or the systems department has worked really hard on that. So we're really, really proud of our portal. Of course, endless free education. You're joining us here on Self-Directed Saturday. We're here every noon for you. Our YouTube channel, this is actually streaming live on YouTube and Facebook right now. And all of our webinars are recorded under the video section. And there's plenty more education, not just our webinars on our YouTube channel, our education center on our website itself, full of more educating articles. Sarah in our marketing department runs our blog, and she has some amazing blog entries out there. So check that out. Of course, our virtual networking happy hour, born out of COVID, but now we can connect with investors all over the country. So we have this the first and third Wednesday of every month. So come join me. I host that most Wednesdays. I make it fun. Come have a drink, network, meet some like-minded investors, get some ideas. There's our Self-Directed Saturday that you're joining us with right now. And of course, our big event coming up, our big virtual 2-day event, QuestCon Live. It is the focus of forecasting 2022, but I think we have over 20 guest speakers. This is really a deep dive education on all those kind of private classes. We have a meet the panel of experts. John Heyer, Jeff Watson, I believe Quincy and Nathan are going to be on the panel. Always a good time to watch and, of course, learn. And there will be a happy hour the night before on the 2nd that I'm actually hosting. So another networking and education opportunity for you there. Get those tickets, or if you want free tickets to this, open an account. I'll get you a free ticket for that. Some more networking and education that you can get. We are bringing some in-person events to this. Back to our offices. So Houston, first Tuesday, Austin office, second Tuesday, Dallas, third Tuesday. I'm going to put the links in the chat box for how to get information on all this. So if you're ready to start coming back in person and networking, seeing some other vendors, getting some education, please come out. We'd love to have you. No longer security week. Sorry about that. So how to get in touch with us. We'd love, love, love to help you out. You can go to our website, chat with us live. I'm in that chat box a lot. But it's not just, it's the IRA specialist and transaction specialist. It's not a robot. It's really us. We'd love to help you out. 8:30 to 5:30 is when that's manned, Monday through Friday. Give us a call, 855-FUN-IRAs. We really do think this is fun and exciting. We really do discuss IRS code and what you can and can't do in the hallways. We think it's really exciting. Or, of course, you can reach out to me, email nicole.baco@questtrust.com. Scan the QR code. It really does work. All right. That is quite enough from me. It is now time for, come on, Mr. Computer. I need you to leave now. Okay, there we go. Now it is time for the star of the show and the man of the hour that we all came to see, Mr. Tom Olson. Thank you so much for being with us today, Tom.
Thank you for having me on, Nicole.
Of course. All right. You ready to go?
I am ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready. All right. Let's go. All right. Thank you, Tom.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Quest Trust Company, for all you do. Thank you for all the education that you provide. I have learned from Quest Trust Company myself, and even Quincy Long for 12 plus years. I've learned a lot about how to build my own self-directed IRA and the different accounts that we have. All of our family has different accounts. Every single one of my kids have an inherited Roth IRA before they change the rules. All of my kids have ESAs with Quest. Me and my wife both have traditional and Roth IRAs, and we have SEPs as well with them. So if you haven't gotten your accounts already set up, or if you maybe can think about a gift for Christmas Think about giving, a grandchild, or thinking about giving, one of your family members, maybe an education savings account or something like that, that would help them for their future, something that would be really start leaving a legacy with them now. But appreciate Quest, and I've been a benefit. I've benefited greatly over the years from all of their education events. So, today, if you can you see my screen now there, Nicole? Is everything working there? Just want to
Yep,
make
everything's
sure.
all good.
Awesome. Perfect. Okay. So today I am going to talk about appreciation. I believe that appreciation is really where it's at. I think a lot of times people talk about cash flow, and they talk about, how you can make money, which, don't get me wrong, I believe that cash flow is important. I'm not anti cash flow. I believe that cash flow is kind of what holds deals together. But I'm going to talk a lot about appreciation. And I also think the problem is with appreciation is that everybody only thinks about one part of appreciation, that one part of appreciation that, like, you buy a property or you buy an asset and it goes up in value. This can be in any asset you can buy. You can buy gold, you can buy stocks, you can buy houses, you can buy apartment buildings, you can buy land, all those things all those assets that you can buy all have an appreciation component. But when it comes to real estate, I believe that there are 6 different components, and I could even argue a 7th one, as I'm kind of been doing more research. I'm not really going to get into that today on that 7th one. But I believe that there are these 6 pieces of appreciation, and they're almost kind of like different parts of a house. They're different parts of the deal. And I believe that if you understand all 6 of these, I believe that you can, you'll be a better investor. I believe that you will, you'll make more money at the end of the day. You'll have more. And at the end of the day, like for me, like I want to be able to give more. You see the screen right there. It says, I have 2 big dreams. And the whole reason why I do what I do, and I have a pretty large company. We have 30 plus employees. We have 8 different companies that we run. The reason why I do is because I have these 2 big dreams. Number one, I want to flip the city of Gary, Indiana. And a lot of the investors that may be listening now, have helped us with that. They've helped, they've helped buy rental properties in that area that we manage for. They've loaned money to us, or they've done something to that effect. They've, come to our meetings here in Gary, Indiana. And I really appreciate that. And I believe that we're having an awesome, massive, positive impact here on the city of Gary, Indiana. But that's why I do what I do. And then the other reason is I want to give away $1 billion in my lifetime. And the only way for me to do that is for me to go big or go home, is for me to try to figure out how to leverage people, how to leverage money, how to leverage relationships, how to leverage network and influence. And that's really kind of why I'm on here today. I'm not really asking for anything. I don't have anything to really sell, but I'm just trying to educate, because I do believe in the power of education. So those are my two big goals. I was actually on a missionary trip this year. Just a little bit about me. And kind of when I was on that trip, I kind of almost felt like God was asking me, hey, if I gave you that $1 billion that you say you want to give away in your lifetime, and I've been tracking since I was 12 years old, and it's not something that I take lightly. It's a very serious goal of mine, and I have no idea how I'm going to get there, but I just know I'm getting closer every day. But I almost heard the voice of God say, hey, if I gave you $1 billion, who would you give it to? And it was kind of hit hard. It kind of hurt. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I need to spend more of my time focused on, finding great stewards for that money, finding places and worthy causes. So I've been spending a lot of my time this year, more than normal, I would say, trying to find those causes, trying to connect with those people. I have a great friend of mine, Eddie Wilson, who's been on this, on these Quest events. He's been a friend of mine for about 12, 13 years. And, he has a great, thing called Christian Media International, and he goes around the world trying to, put that out there. And I just love to connect with people like that I believe are going to have a positive impact on their community and a positive impact on eternity. So I do want to, quickly before we get going, I do want to congratulate Quincy Long. He did have a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Note Expo. I wanted to make it a big deal and just kind of quickly mention that. So Quincy, if you're watching, congratulations. I wasn't there at the event, but I did hear about it. And I believe that Quincy deserves any of those awards that he can get. Quincy actually did win the Good Success Award one year at the Good Success Mastermind. And I love spending time with him. He's awesome. So I talked about a little bit about me. Again, if you guys want to, I'm going to quickly run through this first part. If you guys do want to connect with us more, these are some other resources. We have the Active Turnkey podcast and the Good Success podcast. And this is kind of our process. We buy homes, we fix up homes, we then sell homes, and we manage those homes for our investors in a turnkey type of process. Our company also, one of our companies is to buy and hold and manage corporate rentals. We also have a lending company where we connect borrowers with lenders, and we try to, and we make points in the middle, and win advisory fees in the middle. We're also starting a fund with that currently. So we find borrowers, we find lenders, and we kind of help make sure that the deals are good and the deals are something that we would do. In many ways, people work with us. They do buy turnkey rentals from us. People do work with us on Conduit Capital. We've had lots of people loan us money, and I also do business consulting as well. So if you're interested in any of those things, I don't really have a push or anything to let you know, but just ask other people in the community if they've worked with us, and hopefully they've had a good experience with us. So I did start with this, and if you can see me now, you probably can't, but if you saw me before, I have this shirt on, and I wear this shirt probably 5 or 6 days a week. Not the same shirt, but like the same shirt. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. But I love that concept of I'm going to do something that's good for society. I am going to be an honest steward myself. I'm going to be a good businessman. I'm going to provide a service that adds value to the community so I can give. And I believe that is what every person on this earth was placed on this earth to do. And I believe that if you're struggling with purpose, if you're struggling with why did God create me? Why am I on this earth? I think if you kind of just step back and say, okay, what good service can I offer? How can I be a productive human to society? What is it that I can do so that I can have, and then who is it that maybe between my experience, maybe my heart, maybe my passion, maybe those people that just, gravitate towards me, or what do I gravitate towards? Who can I then go help? I think if we all live our lives that way, of being a conduit, not a bucket, if we're not just focused on ourselves and not how we can, keep all the money that we have and how we can just, retire. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against any of those things. I preach financial freedom. I believe in financial freedom. Those things are all great to have, but there has to be a higher purpose. And I would just encourage you all to just, especially during the holiday seasons, maybe reflect a little bit and try to figure out what that give is for you. How can you work and have and give, and what does that process look like in your life? I always want to encourage entrepreneurs. I always want to encourage investors to not just focus on themselves, but focus on their community and focus on those people that get placed in their life that they can help. So I got a quick video I'm going to show before I get into this appreciation talk. And I'm going to tie it together a little bit. So hopefully this works out and you guys can hear this well. All right. It's not moving. Oops. See if I can get it to go. Maybe it's not going to work for me today.
So let's talk about exiting the Zillow Homes business and the home flipping as we just described it as. Is this a sort of full-scale admission that you should never have gone into that business line in the first place?
It was a really tough but necessary decision, Wilfred. And I guess first and foremost, the decision to wind down our Zillow Offers iBuying operation involves a layoff of about 25% of the workforce. And that is a heavy thing given all of the people involved and all of the work they've put in. And we're committed to a smooth transition there. So I just wanted to say that up front, but this was a necessary decision. We just determined that being an iBuyer was too risky, too volatile, and ultimately addressed too few customers, too narrow.
So I mean, I guess some could have suggested to you before you did it that it's going to be volatile and unpredictable, and obviously change the sort of predictability of your earnings flow. So to what extent was this a sort of I told you so moment to some people that said that in the first place?
I'm sure there are those that told me that, and I'm sure there are those out there wagging their fingers at me right now, and justified. We went into the business as a big swing, on the bet that we could actually predict the price of a home 6 months into the future, and do so with a very narrow margin of error, and have our hold times be very short. And what's happened is COVID happened. We've had a global pandemic. We've had a housing market that froze up initially. And now we've seen a growth rate, an acceleration rate in the housing market that we've never before witnessed in history. And as you might imagine, that has made predicting the price of a home 6 months into the future really difficult. And we're doing it at a scale that is 1/10 what it needs to be in order to get to the scale we think we need to achieve to offer good prices. So we stepped back, we assessed, we looked at the volatility in our earnings that we're reporting today, and we said, hey, we don't need to be doing this. We sit in a privileged spot in a mover's decision-making process. We get a good look at all of these movers, and we now have a whole bunch of tools that we can get them to move in a more asset-light way.
So as a result, so Bloomberg's reporting today that you have 7,000 homes to sell for $2.8 billion, and that you're pitching it to all sorts of institutional investors. Can you confirm that? And separately, a KeyBank analyst said most of those homes are underwater.
Well, we have always sold the homes that we've had in inventory in all ways, including the regular market and including to these kinds of buyers. We've always done that. And we are not, I will tell you, we're not in any kind of a fire sale mood. We're not in a big hurry to sell these homes. We're going to do it in orderly fashion. These are appreciating homes. They are real assets, and we will wind down our inventory in an orderly way. We are in a big hurry. What we are in a big hurry to do is get them ready to be sold, to get them closed, to get them renovated, and to get them back on the market.
All right. So, very many, very interesting things that were mentioned on that. And if you guys haven't seen that, I just thought it would be great to just, show that blurb. But Zillow has bought 7,000 homes, and they were going to get into this big play. And honestly, like, if they would have just consulted with me, I could have told them, what their pitfalls were going to be and how they were going to be able to make money on this. And honestly, if they would have followed these 6 different types of appreciation, I really honestly believe they wouldn't be in the mess that they're in right now. And as we go through these different things, I'm going to kind of point out some of those issues. Something that's a hot topic right now is the word inflation. And inflation is just like appreciation in so many different ways, if you think about it. And I think inflation is something that I'm going to talk a little bit about at the QuestCon in a couple of weeks here. But inflation, it has been caused because we've put a bunch of money into society. And every time you put money into society, whether or not it's your job or somebody you know's job, it indirectly affects you in some way, shape, or form. There's just more money in the markets. There's more money in the economy. So whether they're building, new wind tunnels or wind turbines, or they're building more solar, whatever it is that they're building, whatever that they're going to spend money on, even if it's just to stuff somebody's pockets, there is more money that's in society. What else did we do at the exact same time last year? We stopped going to movies. We stopped spending money on going out to eat. We stopped traveling. We stopped going to hotels. We stopped all those things. We sold 15% of our money that used to go to those things now has another source for it to go to. So that's another reason why I believe that we have supply chain issues, and we have other issues as well, because now the discretionary money that we used to be spending on just fun has kind of changed. The other thing that happened, which is very, very interesting, actually was at a meeting last week, and I did not know this until then. It's actually kind of it really surprised me that this was the case. But in the last year, Americans, I think for the first time that I can remember in my lifetime, actually paid off $157 billion worth of credit card debt. No, I'm sorry. That's just thus far this year. So in 2021, the Americans have paid back $157 billion worth of credit card debt, which I think is a good thing, honestly, when it comes to people having money to be able to spend on things. So, so why don't we just get right into those 6 different types of appreciation? I'm excited to go over them with you. First of all, the very first part of appreciation is instant appreciation. Now, let's go back to Zillow. And one of the flaws in Zillow's entire, process, in their entire plan, and their business plan, was their biggest flaw. Maybe I think there's 2 huge flaws, and this was definitely one of the biggest, if not the biggest. And that is they did not get instant appreciation. Now, you say, hey, Tom, how do you get instant appreciation? And this may sound so elementary to some, but to some other people it may not. As an investor, I want to get a discount. If I'm buying stocks or if I'm buying crypto, what do they always say? Buy the dip, right? You want to buy when things go down a little bit. You don't want to buy higher than everybody else. You don't want to buy and pay more than everybody else is paying. Now, some people can make money by buying market rates, thinking through appreciation and through inflation that over time, basically shorting the dollar by getting 30-year financing and super cheap rates like we have today. You can make money by not necessarily getting instant appreciation, but you have to do it over the long haul. But instant appreciation, I think, it's one of those key factors, especially as an investor like me that buys and sells over 100 houses a year. I have to get a discount every time I buy. So if a house is worth $200,000, like, everybody knows I probably don't want to pay more than $150,000 if it's all fixed up and it doesn't need a lot of work. Like, that's just who I am. I want to get a discount when I buy the property. And some people may not. Again, if you're buying turnkey rentals, for instance, you may not get a discount at the time up front. There's other ways to be able to offset those, but I think this is one of the ways that you can make money, and it's one of the ways that Zillow wasn't making money in this. Everybody knows that when Zillow came in, they were overpaying, actually paying more than market. So I don't understand. Most people don't understand the iBuyers and how they're formulated and how their business plan really works, even on a spreadsheet. Because I could have showed them very simply that buying over market price and trying to sell quickly was meant to be a disaster ever, from day one. They were never going to be able to make this happen. Even the guy from Zillow said, there's probably a lot of people out there saying that I told you so. And then they were trying to predict the price of a future home sale in the next 6 months. And we all know that that's impossible. That doesn't happen. It doesn't matter what algorithm you have, doesn't matter what data you have going backwards. That doesn't mean anything when it comes to what's going to happen in the next 6 months. So the very first one, and this is an important piece. Don't get me wrong. This is one of the most important pieces, is instant appreciation. And if you can get instant appreciation, I don't care if you're buying stocks. I don't care if you're buying crypto. I don't care if you're buying real estate. This is one that you should focus on, and you should have a part of your business plan and a part of your investment should be, hey, are these people getting a discount? What's the margin? Even as a private lender, we know if I'm loaning money to somebody, I don't want to loan more money than the property's worth. I want to have that instant buffer, that instant appreciation in that. The second one is phased appreciation. Now, this one takes a little bit more work. It takes a little bit of research, and it takes somebody that can go a little bit bigger, or they can be a part of a group that can go a little bit bigger. Phase appreciation is, if you think about the game Monopoly, and if I get if I get Pennsylvania as one of my properties, okay, I've got a good property in an A neighborhood, right? So I've got Pennsylvania, but it doesn't really become super valuable. I can't put houses on there. I can't put hotels for sure on there until I own all 3 of those green those green properties. I have to own all 3 of them in order to really raise the value. And that's really what phase appreciation is. And it's amazing because I've seen this on blocks that we've done work on. I've bought and sold over 2,000 homes in the last 15 years. And I have seen blocks where we bought almost a whole block. And I have seen those prices literally triple on that market because we were able to control the entire little market. A developer, when they're developing new subdivisions or new, condos, they bank on this. Like this is how they're able to do and get the prices that they want to be able to get because they own everything. They create the comps. They are the comps. Everything in the deal is because like they have forced that appreciation by owning more than just, one property. If you only own one property on a block, you don't really have any say so about what it's worth. You're basically at the hands and the mercy of an appraiser or of a tenant that determines how much you can get for rent for that property. But phase appreciation, I think, is something that's exciting, and it's something that if you're a part of, you really can make a huge benefit. Again, it's something that takes some time, it takes some research, and it takes a little bit of a thought process. And it does take a little bit of guts. It does take, a little bit of risk. It's definitely takes, some risk. But it also, I think, is very, very rewarding. And it really, like, this is how you change a community. You don't change a community by just doing a house here and there. You change a community by changing whole blocks at a time or whole neighborhoods at a time. I know there's a neighborhood in Gary, Indiana, that when we started buying 3 years ago in that neighborhood, the after repair values were $50,000. And now these houses are selling for 150, 180, almost 200 in some cases. And that's because our company alone has done 100 houses in that one little neighborhood over the last 3.5 years. And I believe that we've had a part in that. And there's been some other people that have, kind of jumped on and been a part of that as well. And I love the fact that the people have helped us with that. But phase appreciation is just like the Monopoly game. You own the whole block. Like I think Zillow was thinking they were going to get some of this, but they didn't. Like there's no part of this unless they wanted to go in one little subdivision, which maybe honestly might have been a better plan for them to just buy in a very tight, location and then to be able to, make something happen. They were just banking on literally community appreciation, which we're going to get to a little bit in the rest of this presentation today. So, all right. So the first one is instant. The second one is phase appreciation. And then the third one is forced appreciation. And I'm going to be honest with you. This, I believe, is the hardest one. It's the one that most people get excited about. I don't. I know how much work it is. This is the one where all the HGTV shows are created on and based on. This is what most contractors get into. Flipping single family homes, maybe, they get into it for that forced appreciation. And there's many ways to force appreciation in a single family home, for instance. And I couple most of my real estate experience to single family. It is kind of what I'm good at. It's what I know. I've done some, multifamily, done some commercial, done some self-storage, but really, like, if you say, what are you expert at? What do you know by the back of your hand? It's single family. So I'm going to equate most of this presentation to single family, but forced appreciation you can get in several different ways. First of all, you can rehab the property. Next of all, you can just update it. So simply just do updates, new lighting, new maybe granite countertops versus the old Formica ones, maybe new flooring. You can add square footage. I know something that we do in our area is sometimes we will finish a basement, and we'll make sure that those basements are dry and put in drain tile, and then we will finish square footage in the basement. You can add a second story. You can go up. You can go out. You can put an addition on a property. All these are ways to force appreciation. The other thing you can do really is to repurpose a property. That's another way to force appreciation. So For instance, if I go in and I find some building, maybe it's a house and it's a really large house, and I think maybe I'm going to make more money as a duplex, or vice versa. Sometimes duplexes, going back to single family homes, depending on your neighborhood, you can change the use of that property and make it more valuable. This is actually easier in the commercial space and in multifamily space, because all of that is based on rent numbers. And basically all you have to do is raise rents, or you have to maybe make it into something a little bit different that has a different niche that will service a different customer that's willing to pay more. And then you'll be able to, increase or force that appreciation. So again, first of all, we got instant appreciation, phase appreciation's number 2, and then forced appreciation, which is through that rehab. And I'll be honest with you, this is probably why Zillow quit. If you ask me, like if you say, hey, Tom, why do you think Zillow quit? I'm going to tell you this is the hardest piece, especially in 2021, when you've got labor shortages, you've got material shortages, and on top of both of those, you also have supply chain. So I believe that's a little bit different. There are supply chain issues and material shortages. I think that there's actually 2 different things going on there, not just the one. And I know that they can kind of feed each other. But I really honestly believe that they got themselves stuck trying to figure out how to be a construction company and how to rehab properties. And I'm going to be honest with you, it is the absolute hardest thing to do when you're trying to scale. To be transparent, I want my companies to do 400 or 500 deals a year. And the only thing that keeps us from it is that rehab part. Is scaling rehab from more than 100 a year to 400 a year. It's very easy to do 4, 12, 20. Honestly, it's very easy to do a small amount of rehabs. But when you're trying to manage on a super large scale, rehabs is just a nightmare. There's so many variables that you can't. There's so many variables on one property, let alone what Zillow is talking about for 7,000 properties. You couple that in with material shortages, supply chain issues, and just the fact that you can't even get the labor half the time. That's what in 2021 is probably one of the hardest things to do, is to force appreciation. But I'm going to be honest with you, that whenever there's something that's hard, it always presents an opportunity. And I always want to look at life that way and look at my business that way. So I am working diligently to try to make sure that we can continue to force appreciation. We've gotten licensed ourselves in several other areas in our area. We're actually hiring more in-house people this year than we normally would, because I want to make sure I can control that labor. Not just waiting for contractors to be able to show up because they've got 13 other jobs and 13 other people that want them to do jobs for them. So again, instant, phased, and forced. The next one is really what most people think about when they think about appreciation. And this is community appreciation. This is what happens over time. Most performers that you're going to see, will have some type of appreciation in that performa, whether it's a multifamily, whether it's single family, it doesn't really matter. And it's real. It is a real thing. It's not that you can't predict it. You can predict that it's over time, you're going to have appreciation. Just go back 100 years and tell me how much money houses cost 100 years ago. Go back 20 years and tell me how much houses cost 20 years ago. And then we can probably accurately predict that to some degree in the future, with not certainty, but we know that overall it's going to continue to go up in value. And I mean, I think there are some that could argue that the dollar is being shorted with inflation, and maybe our houses aren't worth more, but maybe our dollars are just worth less. I was even in a conference last week, and we talked about, the crash may come at some point. But some people think the crash is already here because the dollar is so short. And one of those great places to hedge against the dollar being less valued is in real estate, and is in those hard assets, those things that we say go up in value, but really they just prove the devaluing of the dollar. So community appreciation is something that everybody thinks about. Again, like for a long period of time, you're going to have somewhere between 2 and 4%. That's what is, I think it's easy to go back 100 years and just look at where we're at, maybe then go back 80 years, maybe, and then 40 years or 60 years, 40 years, 20 years, and really look at that from a very large picture. If you would have asked me what Zillow should have done, I would have told you this. Zillow should have bought a bunch of houses, tried to get the best deals they could have gotten, and not gone to this like model of overpaying. They should have got the best deals they possibly could have got. They should have then had a 3 to 5 year exit plan, and they should have been able to, and then they would have been able to take advantage of all of these types of appreciation. They would have been able to get at a little bit of a discount. Maybe it wasn't as big of a discount as I need, but they could have still bought houses and paid more than I can pay and still been able to get a lot of houses. They should have had more focus on that instant appreciation. Phased appreciation, they could have or should have or would have been able to take whole blocks down and say, you know what, we're going to find these areas that are kind of like maybe they're rougher, maybe they're affordable housing type of areas, and we're going to turn them and we're going to twist this whole community into now maybe B class or A class type of an area. And they could have done it. They could have said, you know what, we're going to focus on understanding construction and having a great process when it comes to this. And we're going to, run this process, and we're going to hire contractors that are going to be able to go through this and in a timely manner, but it's going to take us some time. We understand that's going to happen. And then they maybe even could have rented them for a couple of years, and probably even seen some of the appreciation that we get in rentals over the last, really, we have gone up 20% minimum in the last 18 months on what houses rent for. We have a property management company. We manage about 450 doors now. And, we have seen this like nobody, like at no time in history. So we talked about those 4. And then the 5th one is something that I actually presented this at my mastermind about 4 years ago. And it was interesting because some people that you would know, if I mentioned their names here, if I mentioned these 3 people's names, most people that are listening to this that know Quest would know who these people are. But 3 people came up to me afterwards and like, you know what? I've never heard appreciation talked about and all those different types. And that makes a lot of sense. These are high level guys that have been investing for 30 plus years in real estate. But this was something that actually came out as another way. So I was teaching this as 5 ways of appreciation. Now I'm making it 6, and I may even add a 7th one down the road here. But managed appreciation is something that in the single family realm, it's kind of new. I will tell you, Mr. Landlord kind of teaches this. Jeffrey Taylor, if you guys don't know him, he has an amazing event in Cabo coming up in January. I will be there. A lot of my friends are going to be there. If you want to learn about rentals and you want to learn about how to have a little bit of managed appreciation in your regular single family rentals, he is awesome. And for the price that he does, his things for, I don't get anything for this. I just really believe in him. He's a good friend of mine. He's a great guy. But managed appreciation is something like Airbnb. So think about it. We have kind of made a single family home into something that now requires a lot more management. And now it's worth more money. And now we make more money on the management side of it. We make more money because the rent is maybe 2 times as high. I think about corporate rentals as well. This is another great niche that me and my wife have really put a lot of our time and focus on over the last 12 months is corporate rentals. And I believe that corporate rentals are going to be a wave of the future. And there's nowhere near enough corporate rentals set up throughout the country. I think Airbnb got to the point at some point where there was too many Airbnbs in certain markets. But corporate rentals, there are not enough corporate rentals out there. But again, it requires a little bit of extra management. It requires less than a year lease. It requires you to have, cable and internet and furniture set up, and they need to be cleaned more often. The maintenance needs to be at a higher level of service than maybe a typical rental. But there are ways to be able to manage appreciation. Another thing, one of the guys in my mastermind did student housing. So he took the same square footage, the same buildings that may have been a multifamily building, and decided to do student housing where each person paid $500 a bed maybe to be able to live in these houses or in these apartment buildings. So again, the better managers will get lower vacancy. The better managers will have a higher collection rate. Even on single families, you can manage and have appreciation by squeezing more out of what you actually have. I even think of self-storage, and all those things. If you can have a lower vacancy rate, if you manage it better, A lot of the reasons why these B, C class self-storage facilities are even changing hands or selling, because the managers of them are just not very good. They don't pick up the phone when people call. They don't like advertise very well. And these are things that you can do to manage when you're managing your business and you're a better steward of your business. They actually make more money. So that's another way of appreciation. And I think it's something that we've taken advantage of throughout our businesses. But I also think that it's something that, if you understand that these are other types of appreciation that are in the deal, these are things that are in the deal that make a big difference. These aren't things that are just like, oh, maybe I'll make an extra $10. No, these are material differences. I promise you, if you don't buy right, you might lose $5,000 or $10,000, $15,000 on a deal. If you don't rehab right, if you don't force appreciation right, you can lose. We can lose $100,000 on a deal really quick if you don't know how to do that, force appreciation. If you understand that there is the ability to have phased appreciation or monopolize a little bit of an area to a certain degree, or focus so much on that one specific area and change it into something that you think is more desirable, then like if you understand that, you'll be a little bit more deep on some of your thinking and some of your thought process when it comes to that. And then understand that there is community appreciation. I do think that there are some statistics when it comes to community appreciation that I got from this meeting. And there was a guy from Stewart Title. His name is Ted Jones. And if you want to look him up on Twitter, he's got a huge following on Twitter, but he is a chief economist for Stewart Title. And he did a great presentation at this meeting I was just at. And I'm going to go through some of these stats that kind of talk about inflation, maybe if you want to think about inflation, or if you want to think about community appreciation. Right now, the median home price across the country is almost $350,000. And there are areas that I want to put myself in front of. There are areas that I would like to be out of. And it's really these two slides that he gave. And he gave the top 10 top outbound states of 2020. So the states that people are moving the most. Number 1 was New Jersey. Number 2 was New York. Number 3, Illinois, right next to us, which is why I love being in Indiana. Illinois is number 3. Number 4, Connecticut. Number 5, California. And we have seen the great exodus of California, the first time ever that California has actually lost population, probably since it was created, or not created, ever since it was, a state. Kansas, actually, that was a surprise. I did not know that about Kansas. But then North Dakota, Massachusetts, Ohio is number 9, top outbound states, and Maryland. So those are your top outbound states. People are moving away from those states. Now, who would you guess would be the top inbound states? People are moving from those 10 states to these 10 states in 2020. The number one state people are moving to, and my friend Jennifer Everhart, she's listening. She'll love this. Idaho. That's where she moved from California to Idaho there. Idaho was number 1. Number 2, South Carolina. Wendy Sweet will love to hear that. And South Carolina, the number 2 state that people are moving to, or they did in 2020. Number 3, Oregon. Number 4, South Dakota. I love South Dakota. Number 5, Arizona. Number 6, Florida. And I think, and a lot of this guy's presentation was based on Florida is the wild card. It's a place that jobs are going to like nobody's business, but Florida doesn't need jobs because their population are a lot of retirees. So Florida was number 6, North Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, and Arkansas. So if I am in this market and I'm thinking, where do I want to put my money? Where do I want to go? Think about that. Like, it's probably not going to be the states people are moving away from, and it's probably going to be the states that people are moving to. They also ranked the top 25 MSAs in which people are moving, in which people are moving to. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the top 25 MSAs were in Florida. So, keep that in the back of your head as well. There is one more. Oh, we entered 2020 with 4.2 to 7.2 million dwellings short. So we are so short when it comes to housing in this country. And I'm excited about the future for housing, especially single family. so Ted's metric is that we need 1.25 to 1.5 new net jobs per dwelling unit. And so like we're short on all these things, and it's really going to make an impact on our economy, on our future. And these are things that we really should pay attention to. There's some other things here that I'm not going to get into when it comes to that, but it was really a good thing. I love studying economics. I love studying market cycles. I love studying that. And I do believe that there was one more slide that I did want to bring out here real quick that I'm not going to show on the screen. But it talked about the states in which they were the most tax friendly. And the top 10 most friendly tax states, number one was Wyoming, which, okay, I don't think a lot of people are going to move to Wyoming for that, but there will be some. Number two is South Dakota. Number three was actually New Hampshire. Would not have thought about that, but they were. Number four was Florida, a most friendly tax state. Number five, Montana. Number six, number three was Alaska. Number six is actually New Hampshire. Number seven, Nevada. Number 8, Utah. And number 9, Indiana. So two of the states that I invest in, Indiana and Florida, were in the top 10 most friendly business states as well. And I believe that all those things have a factor. All those things have a factor when it comes to, am I going to get the best, most appreciation for my buck? Are people moving here? Are these prices going to continue to go up? And I know that that's mostly focused on, for the last 10 minutes, we focused on community appreciation. But I do believe that at the end of the deal, if you were to look at a single family the way that multifamily investors look at multifamilies, there has to be an exit. You know, in order for multifamilies to make 20% plus, there has to be an exit of some kind. If single family operators and buyers were to look at their investments like a multifamily, like on a larger scale, and say, hey, I'm going to buy, I'm going to rent, and I'm going to sell at some point, you would understand that exit is sometimes hundreds of percents, more than all the cash flow you're going to make the entire time. I mean, it's not even close, not even in comparison. And a lot of our buyers have seen this over the last 5 and 6 years. They bought 5-6 years ago, and they're like, wow, I have $100,000 in equity in my property. I've only owned it for 5 years. I only put $20,000 down on the deal. If they put, you just do the math. If you put $20,000 down on a property, and then in 5 years you sell with $100,000 in equity, how much money did you make? You made 100% return on your investment just on the buy and sell side. Now, I understand you have taxes to be concerned of. I understand that, maybe you want to 1031 that. I understand all that stuff. Don't get me wrong. But when it comes to the real profit, you don't really make money until you sell. It's kind of like crypto. Like, I've got friends of mine in crypto. They're like, I was up 400%. And then like 2 days later, they were back to even, or they were even have lost money at that point. And you don't really make money on any asset until it's actually sold. So keep all those things in mind when you're doing investing, when you're maybe even when you're lending money, when you're buying rental properties, when you're buying any kind of property or any kind of asset, really. How can I get those different types of appreciation in this? Now, the last type of appreciation, I think, is something that we talked about. These are all money appreciations. The sixth one is not necessarily a money appreciation, but I believe it is one of the most important. And that is communicated appreciation. And especially during this Thanksgiving season time, if you're an investor of mine, if you are, if we manage for you, if we, are a borrower of yours, if we do anything with you, you've probably already gotten some kind of gift from us, because we do Thanksgiving gifts instead of Christmas gifts, because really that's what it is. It's like, I want to thank my clients for working with me. I want them to know that they're special to us, and I want them to know that we appreciate them. And I want everybody to stop what they're doing right now. I don't care if you're in an office, if you're at home, if you're driving in a car, like, just stop and think, who am I thankful for? Who has done something for me over this last year? I'll be honest with you, property managers, if you have a property manager, like, they have one of the hardest jobs in the world. They have to make a tenant happy, and they have to make a owner happy. And they're both kind of on opposite sides of a deal there. And they have to work really hard. If you haven't told your property manager thank you, I would encourage you to stop what you're doing and just send them a quick text, maybe write them a letter, send them a gift. And I'm not saying this because I have a property management company. That's totally fine. You don't have to send me anything, but whoever they are out there, they work really hard for you. If you've invested in somebody's fund, if you've invested in somebody's project and they've made you money, and they've done what they said they were going to do, I would say, hey, write them a thank you note. Tell them that you appreciate them. If you're a borrower and you have a lender out there, then you say, you know what, I wouldn't have been able to do these deals without the bank, without the lender, without the ability and the availability of funds. I would never have been able to do that. Maybe you should be sending Quest Trust Company a thank you. Now, I've sent Quincy many over the years, but maybe whoever you work with, whoever the person is that you normally work with or connect with at Quest IRA, write them a thank you note, at least an email, maybe a text message, whatever it is. I can promise you that thank you is going to give you way more influence than you could possibly imagine. I will guarantee you, this is something I can guarantee. I can't guarantee an investment. I can't guarantee you're going to get this, community appreciation that we talked about. I think we should be focused on it. And I think that we should be wanting to gain those appreciations. But this one thing I can guarantee if you're more thankful, if you will say that you're thank you to people, eventually it'll come back to you one way, shape, or form. I promise you will reap what you sow. Whatever you give out into the universe, you will get back. And this is something that I can guarantee, is that if you communicate appreciation, you'll be happier, and the people around you will be happier. You will have more influence, and at the end of the day, people will thank you as well. And if you're out there thinking, no, nobody cares about me, nobody's thankful for me, it's Thanksgiving season and we're just going to watch football. Thanksgiving is not about football. Thanksgiving is about what it says in the word Thanksgiving. It's about giving thanks. So I just want to encourage everybody this week, especially more so than any other. It should be a 365-day process. I try to not let my feet touch the ground from my bed at any morning, 365 days out of the year, without thinking about who I'm thankful for, without maybe sending a quick text, without maybe, thinking about writing a letter and putting that on my calendar. And I like to text. So a lot of people have gotten text messages from me that I appreciate them, but I will tell you, get the communicated appreciation out there, especially in real estate. Tell your realtors that you're thankful for them. Tell your contractors that you're thankful for them. We just did a big contractor event here for all of our contractors, gave them gift card, let them know our big goals and our, why we do what we do, but also that we appreciate them and we appreciate their hard work and the fact that they've made our houses beautiful. So make it happen. Make sure that you guys, communicate appreciation. Somebody I want to communicate some appreciation to real quick before we get going here is some of these people that are on the screen, Bob Zackemeyer and Tom Barry. Some of you guys know some of these people, but these people sponsored our last event. And we have a free event every year called the Real Estate Free for All. It's up here in Gary, Indiana. And we just have a fun time. It really is nothing. It's not like a huge conference. It's not something crazy. We only can have about 100 people at it. But we basically have a party for 3 days. We have great comments and great, speakers. Quest actually spoke at this event as well. And the next event that we're going to do is September 30th. And it's free. So there's no money for me. I'm not trying to promote anything that's going to cost anybody any money. If you guys want to sign up, you guys can go to goodsuccess.com /free for all. We are looking for a couple more sponsors. I think we only have 3 or 4 more slots open. So if you're interested in maybe speaking at that, or if you were interested in having a booth or wanting to just, honestly, I think one of the biggest reasons why people sponsored last year was to just know that they were helping create this free event called the Real Estate Free for All event. This is my contact. You guys can find me on Facebook. This is our website and my email there, tolson@goodsuccess.com. I'll leave that up for a little bit. So I don't know if you wanted to get back on. If there was any questions, we can go over that. I know it's actually already 1 o'clock, so it went a little bit longer than I thought it was going to go. So I will put the mic back to you.
Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Actually, if you will leave your contact information back up so everybody can see it.
Yes.
Perfect. Awesome. That was amazing. Just like you said, I had no idea that you could break appreciation down like that. That was wonderful. I really liked the video of the Zillow and kind of what they're doing, and the market prices. The $350,000 is the median price for the whole country. And it was a very surprising number for me. I did not realize it had gotten that high. I have a sister in Austin. The prices there. I mean, she's called me and been like, "Oh my God, we found this house," and she's like, before we can hang up the phone, realtors calling back, this couple put in 300,000 cash, and over asking price. So,
we sold more houses this year cash than we ever have combined. Like all the rest of the years combined, we had more cash deals this year than any other year. There literally is just too much cash in the market.
Which is kind of crazy to think about. Like there's all this this big exodus from California that you mentioned. I was really surprised to see that Texas was not on the list of places that people.
Well, they have been for the last 10 years, so don't feel so bad.
Oh, I'm from Louisiana. I'm a new implant in Texas myself. We've been here for 3 years, and I love it. We've really enjoyed the move to Texas, to Houston, and it's been great. So yeah, there has been a lot of big moves to Texas, but everybody talks about a lot of people from California are now moving to Texas. The prices they paid for homes, you can get so much more here.
Yeah.
And I was very surprised to hear that Idaho was the #1 state that people are moving to. What do you feel?
Now, that's according to U-Haul. That's the U-Haul statistics.
U-Haul.
That kind of shows you like where, people are, renting their vehicles from and where they're going to.
Got it. Any comment? I'm not related, but any comment why Idaho?
I think it's because it's a beautiful place and it's right next to California. And people, especially during COVID, just wanted to be in the outdoors. And and that's what I'm hearing. I actually know 3 people who have moved from California to Idaho. And they just, that's what they're liking. South Dakota is another, great outdoors place.
Yeah.
And people have wanted to be outdoors for the last, 18 months.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Arizona's up there too. So don't forget about Arizona. I mean, Arizona's right there next to California.
Beautiful state. South Carolina, I heard, was on there. Of course, yep. Florida, that makes sense. Arizona.
North Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama even made the top 10 as well. And I'm really liking Alabama as an investment state myself. They do have some tax, things that are higher than some others. But overall, Huntsville is blowing up if you've been to Huntsville lately, but everywhere in Florida is blowing up. Everywhere you go, every time I go to Florida, it is, I just keep hearing, I just came from Illinois. I just came from Wisconsin. I just came from New Jersey. I just came from, Massachusetts, or I just came from California. Like it is crazy.
Yeah. Hosting the virtual networking happy hour, I hear from people all over the country. So it's very interesting to hear these, these trends that are popping up everywhere. But on the types of appreciation, and kind of just like you said, the communicated appreciation was, I could see how you'd say that's the most important. I really love that, especially with the week of Thanksgiving. And, we tend to forget about, things like that. And just a little text or, a thank you note, you rarely see handwritten things anymore. But
but they're still important and they get a lot of attention when you do it.
Very much so. Very much so. And there was one other thing that brought up a question for me. I think it was in the community appreciation. Well, now I can't read my own notes.
The phased appreciation. The phased appreciation is kind of like the monopoly.
Yes. It was just really interesting to hear about all the different types of appreciation and the things that go into this. It was the student housing and Airbnb. The corporate
Rentals,
corporate
yep.
housing. I've heard more and more people get into this type of investing. On the virtual networking happy hour that I announced, hosted the other night, we had two investors that they had been doing this for a while, and they were commenting that more people were getting into this. Do you have any comments on why people are kind of getting to this more?
Well, because of the need, I'll tell you, like, we are the only people that I know of at all in Northwest Indiana that are providing this. And we have a place down here called, BP is a pretty big company, but we have BP and we also have steel mills in which construction workers come in, like they have a 4-year contract, and like there's things that have to happen throughout the whole 4 years. And so different crews come in for 6 months at a time and do their part of that project that has to happen. Like, so like, for instance, let me give you an example. So all of the big, huge, I don't know what you want to call them, but those big, huge tubs that you see from the sky when you're like gas and oil for oil, when you see those big, huge drums from the sky, they have to be redone every 7 years. They have to be like stripped down, repainted, recoated, whatever. And that takes a lot of different people's jobs. It takes a whole scaffolding crew. It takes a whole stripping crew, and then it takes a whole painting crew, and then maybe a sealing crew, and then they have to, you know what I mean? Like maybe there's a repair crew that kind of repairs the divots and stuff in there. So at any given time, like right now, 9 of our houses are filled with people just from BP. And so and it's great because now we've got this great connection with them. And like, they just keep feeding us houses. Whenever we have one vacant, we just like call them up or text them and say, hey, like, we have a house available, and they basically fill it. The other thing that's happening right now is the traveling nursing industry is just exploding, especially now with COVID restrictions. And I'm not going to get into, whether or not you believe in it or not, because nobody probably wants to know my opinion. And I don't really care about anybody else's opinion because I have my opinion, right? But I'll tell you, it has created a lot of movement in that industry. It has created people that are moving to other states that are not requiring some of these requirements. Like, you know what I mean? Like the states that we talked about, really. And it has, like, it's really, changed that. Now nurses do get a little less money. So nurses, I mean, you want like those small units, those 1-2 bedroom, cheaper units that you can go for. But my favorite's construction workers. Most of the construction workers are getting $75 to $100 a day per guy. And if you have a 4-bedroom house, that works really well. If you can get $3,500, and they're being able to keep half of their money, so they're happy, so I would just really consider that as part of your thought process over the next couple of years. It does require a higher level of service. It does require, staging. And so, I mean, our average house costs us about $8,000. I could probably do a whole presentation. I mean, I have done on Airbnb and corporate rentals and how to make sure that they're profitable for you. But it is something that there's a really big need, and that need's not going to slow down. Especially with the infrastructure stuff that they're planning over the next, couple of years.
Yeah, I've just heard more and more people saying they're kind of getting into that. The other industry they were talking about, of course, is airline pilots and stewardess and whatnot. They were commenting, their per diem is very limited.
Right.
For hotels and whatnot. So that's kind of another industry that they're breaking into. So very interesting there. Well, Mr. Olson, I really, really appreciate you being here with us this Saturday. Such a joy. I learned so much. I took 2 pages of notes myself. So very interesting. I put your earlier website in here in the comments box, thegoodsuccess.com/free for all.
Yes, ma'am.
Put that in there. So, and I know you had your contact information up. So I hope everybody got it. If not, I put mine in the very bottom of the comment section. So reach out. We'd be happy to connect you to Tom or to Quest. We're happy to help you out. So thank you, everybody, for being here with us on this Saturday for our self-directed Saturday. We'll be back next week at noon. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and thanks again for being with us. So have a great.
Don't forget to get your QuestCon tickets and let those people know. I will be in QuestCon somewhere on one of those panels on December 3rd and 4th.
You will be there?
Yes, I'm one of the panelists somewhere.
Good, good. I did not know that you were going to be a guest speaker. Well, even more reason to get your ticket to QuestCon Live. Tom will be there for you. He's going to be on one of our panels, December 3rd and 4th, 2-day virtual event, packed with guest speakers. You're going to have that expert panel that I'm excited to watch too. The happy hour the night before. We're going to make it really fun, really exciting. Contact me. I can help you get a free QuestCon ticket. Very few Quest events are paid for. This is one of the ones that is. Everything else is free, like we're bringing to you now. So thank you, Tom, for that endorsement of QuestCon Live. Get with me, get with anyone at Quest. We'll help you get one of those tickets. So thanks again for being with us. We really appreciate you being here, and have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks so much.
Happy Thanksgiving.